Welcome to Afrikindness Podcast. Yes, a podcast dedicated to showcasing the richness and diversity of African culture. Join us as we explore the past, present, and future of the African continent and challenge common myths and stereotypes. Whether you're a non-African interested in learning more about the continent or an African seeking to connect with your roots, this podcast is for you. Yes, we aim to educate, entertain, and encourage through natural, authentic, and conversational dialogue. From solo commentaries to panel discussions, we'll share our experiences, stories, and expert views using metaphors, analogies, humor to help you discover the beauty and pride of Africa. Yes! Right, welcome back again. This is Afrikindness Podcast, and I'm your girl, Peace Judge, one and only. This is where we celebrate the rich tapestry of African cultural heritage, and today we continue with debunking myths and misconceptions about Africa. With me again are my interesting, inspirational guests, Mr. Edward Obi. Hello.
Hello.
Rotimi Davids. Hi.
Hello, hi.
And of course, the delectable Bunmi. Hi, Bunmi. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us again. Now, we started with myths and misconceptions, right? So it got really interesting, and here we are again. Africans are champions of many grassroots movements. Okay, so I want us to talk about this because I believe that many people don't even know this. So we're going to get started with this very, I would say a very, very good one. So let's tackle this one. I'm going to take this one easy. Rotimi Davids, this is for you. Only Africans are corrupt and have bad governance. Bunmi, I'm coming to you because I know. Sis, I know this one. Yeah, so Rotimi Davids, take it away.
Only Africans are corrupt and we do have governance. I mean, that's as true as saying rain only falls, you know, if you get what I mean. And I think I probably will say one of the most honest set of people that you will find in the entirety of the world, actually Africans. So let me give a concept. Remember when we had the barter system back in Africa? You know, I mean, even narrow it down to within the Western Africa or the Nigerian place where we had markets. People will keep in their market stores, and the owners of those stores are not there. You just go in there and take what you want and drop your money, or you exchange for goods and you go back. And then the person who owned those products will come back and take their money. So you didn't need to be there. That was what we had. That was how sincere and honest people we were. I mean, I think we've gone. We all know better that we can't go by that narrative. Unfortunately,
yeah, I mean, we're doing this because of even the next generation. So this is what we have to be clear about this, because I know so many people who have been told, even in their schools, so many young ones who've been told, because you come from this particular country, you're corrupt. Because, the government in your country is corrupt. Which is why we're trying to do this. It's not even because of us. Like you said, most of us know better. But the next generation, we're trying to pass to them this baton of more like the ability to even think critically before embodying these things, just because we did. We're just waking up. We did for a long time. We were force-fed. We were in every way. We didn't know on time that this wasn't even true. So it became our identity until some voices began to fight this
and we came to a point where we're saying, okay, no, we wasted time, but the next generation is not going to. So thank you, Rotimi. Truly, it's not exclusive to Africa. I don't believe you want to say something, but I'm going to go to Mr. Edward first because I saw him smiling like, Mr. Edward, over to you. You have the mic.
I think corruption is everywhere. It's not just Africa. I think the key thing people might say is the levels of corruption across the continent. But in terms of corruption by its mere definition is what it is. And, there's no country that can absolve themselves. Now, I'll take a look at it from the, institutional side of things. Take a look in Nigeria, there's the EFCC and various other countries, they're trying to tackle it. And they're putting a lot of effort into tackling it. But it's corruption, if you're saying it's just an African narrative, that's just the kettle calling the, is it the kettle trying to call the pot black or something?
Yeah.
But that's just it. You can't say it's exclusive to Africa. That's not a fair narrative. And take a look at history and what various organizations have done. Can they do better to tackle it? Of course, it takes political will, as we all know, to tackle corruption, because those behind the corruption force are large entities that can topple governments if things don't move their way. So it's a gradual process to try and mitigate it, but it just doesn't work that way. It just takes guts and time. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. So Bunmi, would you say maybe their own corruption is a white kind of corruption and ours a black kind, or a blue kind and a red kind? Maybe I would say,
there is no blue corruption, there is no white, there is no black. Or corruption is corruption, right there. Corruption is corruption. But like what Mr. Edward did say, it's going to be very unfair and an inaccurate picture of the entire continent when you tag, a whole continent. Africa is home to 54 unique countries with its own governance system. Each of the countries have their own governance system. They have their structures, their political landscape, and it's just going to be very unfair for you to now tag the whole, continent and, with that wrong narrative of corruption. And like I think Edward did say, corruption is everywhere. It exists everywhere, and there is a lot that is being done at the moment, that has been done in everywhere, especially in Nigeria. I can say for Nigeria, because I know, anti-corruption initiatives like the EFCC has been set up, and I know other countries would have set up, their anti-corruption laws and things like that. So that whole governance structure is actually there. But the intriguing thing, the thing is, we will not speak of those efforts that we're bringing in. We won't. Instead, we will capitalize on that wrong narrative that they've pegged on us, and just use that wrong narrative to generalize ourselves, and then we internalize it and just tell ourselves that we are all corrupt people, our leaders are corrupt. We won't progress. That is the narrative they want us to believe in ourselves, and it's wrong. The more we take it on and we pass it to the next generation of young people, is that cycle will continue. It is a very wrong narrative. We have established structures across Africa, anti-corruption initiatives that are doing brilliantly well to counter and combat these corruption issues. And like I said, is everywhere, to be honest, is everywhere. Accountability is one thing, and transparency that we're trying to get through in Africa. And it's the same thing that we're doing, that is being done across, in the Western world as well. But to now tag a whole continent that we are all corrupt people, that's a very wrong, damaging narrative.
So yeah, I'm going to go straight to Mr. Edward Obi. I want you to handle this one, and then it's going to go around also. the one that says that Africa is only about safari. Unfortunately, this one I've also tried to research a bit. So if you type Africa into your Google engine, do you know what comes up? Just animals. I remember because there was a time we were trying to get pictures. But I don't know if you remember this. We're trying to get pictures for a particular video for Afrikindness Podcast, and then we were looking for African pictures. We were on Canva, I think it was on Splashed that did justice a bit, using the different textiles and all of that. The rest of them, Google especially, I was saying zebras, lions. Like, when they say Africa is a zoo, that's exactly what you meet when you type that on Google. So I want us to talk about this, Mr. Edward, that Africa is all about safari. Go on ahead, because there are young people listening and watching this right now and saying, help me, because they think they actually think our great grandparents are very close relatives with. They probably think that when we talk about the human race and the apes, that's where we started from, and then they started to evolve. But I want us to talk about this, like animals. Like, really? Mr. Edward, please take it away.
Can I just quickly add before Mr. Edward takes it away? Do you know? And this is quite funny, but is very serious, to be honest. Because that narrative is what our children are also holding on to. My daughter, for instance, came on one day and was a bit confused about if we have roads or houses in Africa, and I'm like, well, you've been to Nigeria, but she said the whole of Africa.
But you've been
the whole of Africa. Do you know? Because she's been to Nigeria, and I think she got that narrative probably in school or something, as regards to zoos and all that, and that people live on trees. I don't know where that is coming from. But Mr. Edward, probably you help us with this.
Help us to help us.
It's when people try to portray Africa as a backward nation, they create these things, to justify it. So, it can be from, Africans look like monkeys or baboons, or, and when you just say, okay, what gave you that impression? And they try and draw a parallel between the futures of Africans and the futures of these animals and say, come on, it's not rocket science. Here we go. And the funny thing, right? Because it's been portrayed over the years, people actually believe
yes.
It's just so funny. Just so funny. I was speaking to someone the other day, and in the office in our communal area. So they were like, no offense. I was like, no, not taken. What is it? He said, is it true? And when they start, is it true? That something big is coming. So he said, is it true that, Africans are the descendants of apes?
Okay.
And I said, okay. I said, why would you think that? He said, no, he was somewhere and they were just talking about it. And, I said, okay. I said, have you heard of the Darwin theory? There are different theories. And they didn't say Africans descended from apes. They said the human race descended from apes, not Africans. So, and there are various theories about how mankind came into existence. But I'm not going to dignify that response with what all these theories are. But it just shows you how easy it is for people who you would think normally are objective thinkers to even just come up with that. Now, it's a different thing if people say, oh, Africa. People don't want to portray Africa as a great tourist attraction where, people go on holidays, have a good time, interact with the wildlife from a positive perspective. You rarely see them talk about that. But Africa has areas and places where you can go and just have fun. Holiday resorts, there are certain parts of Africa that generate foreign exchange just by mere people visiting there, But like I said when I started, it's all about trying to take us back, trying to suppress, so that at the end of the day, we'll just take it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
But, we've evolved beyond that because Africans, we have a funny way of flipping the narrative. So you see things like, Africa is rich in mobile technology, fintech innovation, space and satellite technology. You spoke about Elon Musk. Elon Musk is an African.
Yeah.
And he's transformed the technology space. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely.
But obviously, when people talk about Black Africa descendants, they don't talk about the white people who are African. They talk about
the color of the skin. Yeah.
Exactly. Absolutely. So that's where they come from. But we manage that narrative with kindness. We the generation that we're living in now has sort of said, no, we're no longer living in the shadows. We're no longer allowing you guys to portray this. We're portraying a different perspective. And you can see that in our cultural displays in various places in the UK, wherever we are. Africa is rich in culture. They're rich in storytelling. I attended the event the other day where there was a storyteller there, cultural harmony event. And, people were like, wow, really? And they were taking them through various aspects of the African culture that in a billion years, you could see the looks on their faces like, wow. We're organizing an event next month, the Igbo community. It's the New Yam Festival thing. We do that every year.
I need to come over to Aberdeen. I get my share.
Yeah, but you see, the reason why we do this, we portray our culture, we portray the history behind the culture, we debunk indirectly the narratives of what they are saying about Africa. So if they say, that Africa is backwards and that they're descendants of XYZ, you try and look at it from their point of convenience. Africa was a rich country who, even though in your mind they descended from that you came to trade with, that you are investing in the continent, plundering the resources. So come on, it doesn't suit one narrative and ignore the other. It's all about embracing it objectively.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. I would have loved for everyone to talk about this one, but because we need to move on. So this particular one, and this one needs to take a chill pill. This one says that African men always carry machine guns. They're scary and they're aggressive.
To start from the point of people fear what they don't understand. People see you and immediately their guards are up. Maybe it's because of the way we're built, or maybe it's just their bias against people of the African race. One thing I have seen is, I have seen it, and everybody would have seen it as well. We respond without thinking at times. And when I say that, it's within the context of we're in a community where these people know how to push people's buttons, and they do it in such a subtle way that what people then see is your reaction that then portrays that aggressive, in quote, behavior. And then people will then say, yeah, this is it. This is the truth. Also, you need to take a look at what we've endured over the years, whether it's from the slavery part to the independence part, not feeling as if you belong even in your own country. So people feel that to let off steam, they have to let off steam they just let off the steam how they feel at that point in time. And it's most people don't know how to control their reactions. And by the time they express it in that way, people then define it as aggression. It's a cultural thing. Africans are very, very loud. When they have a point they want to put across, they sort of try and communicate it in such a way that people might think, oh my God, these guys are shouting at each other. But they're not actually shouting, they're just conversing, and it's a cultural thing. So in terms of the aggression, it's their level of understanding of what that aggression is. It might be alien to them, and they'll say, oh no, because if we see it, in our normal workplaces, if they have an issue, they talk about it because, they've been brought up in a system that enables that conversation in a professional, calm and approachable way. But then from our own cultural perspective, people have different ways of communicating. You'll even go to a party where it's predominantly African. They're just having a discussion, but with loud voices, and you'll think, oh my God, are these guys trying to, get into a fight? Are they going to go physical in the next minute? But they're not. They're just laughing over it. So it's all about the understanding. And, when people say aggression, what is the definition of aggression? So, they're not coming at you with a machete or with an AK-47 or something. Do you feel threatened? Why do you feel threatened? What was the action that led to that reaction? So it's an all-embraced perspective, unfortunately. So there's no clear-cut answer to that. That's what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. Thank you. You have done justice to that. Thank you so much. And I do agree with you, because I actually met someone who seemed louder than typical Nigerian. She was very loud. And I went to her, I was like, you're not Nigerian. Like, why are you yelling? She said, I'm not yelling. That's the way we talk. I'm from Trinidad. I'm Tobago. I said, so why do you shout? You know what she said to me? She said to me that there's so many places around them where they mine in Trinidad and Tobago. So there's a lot of mining going on. And so they have to speak louder than the mining going on around. So typically they want to greet you, they go, "Peace, George, how are you?" They yelling from across. This was a louder than Nigerians. Do you get? And I had to ask her, like, "Auntie, are you okay?" So these things happen. It's true. A few days ago, my son's teacher called me. She wanted to know if I was okay. I said, why? She said, because everyone is warm, but you don't say anything about yourself. I said, do you know where I'm from? Like, we don't, why would I just come and start volunteering information about myself? Like, it doesn't make sense. So, I sat down and I said, I think this is a cultural problem. I said, so the barrier we have here is cultural. So I don't blame you. I appreciate your care. But, I'm not just going to come to you and say, this is what's going on with me. This is what's going on with our family. if that's warming up to you, you know. So we trashed it out. And she got my point, I got her point. And I think this is what we should do. Like, before you generalize, sit down, like you said, like, get to know people, get to know their side of the story before you're out there and spreading whatever it is you're spreading. Yeah, so thank you so much, everyone. So just one more, Bunmi, I'm going to give this to you because, my children have asked me this so many times. This myth about Africa being a country and everyone in Africa living in mud houses.
Right. I had to laugh at that because I've had that same issue as well. I think it was an argument in my daughter's school. And she knows that Africa is indeed a continent, but she got into that argument and came back confused. And when she came back, I was also confused because I was confused at her confusion. I don't get it. Why are you confused? Jesus. Africa has 54 different countries. Does that make sense? How can you call Africa a country? I don't get it. Do you know our population in Africa alone? Let's not even look at Africa. Let's just look at Nigeria. The population in Nigeria alone. Do you know what that is? I had to spell it out. I had to, talk out through. And I think I don't know what it is, but it is a bit weird and it's strange at the same time. And at the same time, it's also funny.
Or a geography problem.
It's exactly geography problem because I don't get it. I mean, Africa is home to so many countries. We have diverse cultures, languages. We have, the population in Africa is huge. Is in Nigeria alone. Are we not up to 200 million or so in Nigeria? And we have other countries as well. So it's a very, huge, very huge. And when someone just look at that old landscape and then call it and just map us into a country, it's just very hard to be. And unfortunately, it has the same kind of narratives that is being, shared everywhere, and our children are picking it up, and they're even getting a little bit very confused about the old time. And I think we need to also do a bit more in terms of, debunking all this and, supporting our children and just changing those narratives and making them and let them see the beauty, the culture, the vast richness of what we've got in Africa as a whole. I mean, I think I saw a map of Africa or something where they placed other continents or so into that map. I think I saw it somewhere. I can't really figure it out, and it was quite very interesting to see because when you look at that whole concept, you would see very well how big Africa is, and our children need to really see that and appreciate that. And they also need to also understand where they're from, because that's also part of their identity. That would help them in terms of their perception of Africa as a whole and their views as well. But I really don't know what one can do unless just debunking it. I don't know where it's coming from, to be honest. I don't know.
Oh wow, okay, thank you so much, Bunmi. So good. Rotimi, I want you to talk to those young people out there who are watching and listening with regards to the acceptance of, because we've talked about so many things, but one of the very serious things we've also talked about is the acceptance of these misconceptions and myths as being true by our own people. So I want you to talk to any young people out there because I think it gets really dangerous when our own people sell it to our own people. Take, for instance, a father selling it to their children. So I want you to speak as the blackmail. I like that Bunmi talked about, what is it about the blackmail that that gets people so scared and all of that. So I want you to also, and I'm going to also want Mr. Edward to speak to this also. I want you to address the younger generation watching or listening to this with regards to the acceptance and how dangerous this might be for their generation also. Go on ahead.
Can I add that, can they also, say something to the older generation as well?
The older generation.
They also pass that narrative across, which is wrong.
Yes, absolutely. Go on ahead.
All right. Thanks, Peace George. And um, to the young people, I think it's also good beyond understanding that Africa is a continent. And maybe before I go, I'm sure many of us might have experiences in our separately different lives, where you go somewhere and you tell the whomever you meet that's not African, oh, that you're from Nigeria, and like, oh yeah, I have a friend in Algeria. So they tell you, I've been to South Africa. Okay, I'm from Nigeria. It's like me telling you as an American that I've been to America, or you tell me oh yeah, I've been to Brazil because you're in the same continent. Oh yeah, I've been to Vancouver. How does that sound to you? You tell me you're British, and I'm like, yeah. I've actually been to Wales. And I met someone there. His name is Mark. You should know him.
Do you know him?
So whilst it's good for our children to learn, about biology, geography, and cultures, and countries and continents from their schools, it's also very good for us as parents to also educate them that beyond Africa being a country, being a continent, and we call from countries, and those countries also have tribes, and the beauty of Africa is in those tribes, right? The construct of the country is just for many tribes to come together in unison, so they can have very good negotiating power. They can share resources, common goals, and that's like that. And within the Yoruba as a culture, as an ethnic group, we have many tribes within Yoruba. We have the Egbas, we have the Jebus, we have the Igbominas, the Igbo. I'm sure they have people from Imbise, they have Arochukwu. Within the South Africa, they have Zulu, they have Xhosa, yeah, that's where they pronounce it. They have the Tswana in Kenya. They have tons of tribes. They have vast many tribes, and those tribes are so beautiful because they are very colorful. They're not just they can go under the group of Igbo identity, or Yoruba identity, or South African Afrikaans identity, or Zulu identity, or different identities. But we have beautiful colors in our fabrics. We have beautiful colors in our way of eating. We have beautiful colors in our dialect, and those are the things that are colorful. Those are the things that everybody wants to imbibe. So when you're going for your what's this thing that kids do after leaving college? Someone should remind me. Prom night.
Oh, prom night. Yeah.
Don't be shy to wear your attires because it's beautiful. If you wear your cultural stuff. In fact, there's a study that I read somewhere that being an African, or people of our skin tone who have very excessive melanin, beyond the fact that it protects us from the rays of the sun, so we are probably special people. Melanin protects from sun. We have we don't have too much of skin burn, isn't it? You're this judge, yeah, I'm shading you. But
I know. Don't worry.
Also, to our eyes, see the most colors. Our tongues has the most active taste buds. So you see that we can taste food better than them. So they
all the jollof rice all the way.
Goodness. So we have lots of our tongue has rich spicy.
The hobbies. Oh, thank you.
And you see it in our culture. You see people from Ghana have kente. It's something like nature gave to us that we shouldn't trade for anything else. And I really love our children will also imbibe that bit. We don't have to always do exact. That's why, in fact, when you see a Western wedding, black, white, boom. But go to an African wedding and you're seeing vibrant colors. You're seeing the actual gaze. You're seeing the fabrics. It's in us. We are like butterflies and we blossom. So be proud of the African. Love the African bit. Love the country you come from. Love the tribe you even come from even more. And here's a misconception, and it's a good that we're discussing myths and discussion. Tribalism is not a bad thing. In fact, tribalism is positive. It's xenophobic or bigotry that is negative. tribalism as a word, you can check the dictionary meaning. It's a very good thing. Love your tribe, enjoy your tribe, embrace your tribe, put your culture out there. You don't have, in fact, because they want it. It's how you flaunt your culture that they will enjoy.
Yeah.
All the cultures that we've enjoyed in historic days are other people's culture. Our religion was influenced by, the Abrahamic culture. The Chinese have beautiful, rich culture. The Indians have beautiful, rich culture. We have a more beautiful and richer culture. So flaunt it. Every African should be proud to be an African. Should be proud to. You should be prouder to be an Ethiopian or a Kenyan or a Zulu or a Tunisian or Nigerian, South African, Ghanaian, Nigerian, and you should be most proud of that tribe that you come from as well. Because tribe is what defines you, and that's what makes you become the great person and the great child and the smart kid that you always be. So that's my message to the young people.
So good. Thank you so much, Rotimi. Mr. Edward, any last words?
Yeah, I think to the parents who are here, I want to just re-echo what my dad used to tell us. May his soul rest in peace. He said, never ever forget who you are. That's very, very important. Even though you're born here or, you move along, but, you consider here your home, you're from somewhere. And that's very, very important that you don't forget. And I always promote my heritage anywhere I go. Like, a few months ago, I was a finalist at the Institute of Directors Award in the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion category. I went there with my cultural outfit because it was equality, diversity and inclusion anyway. So, and it generated a lot of discussions. People were trying to understand what the accessories meant, what the hat meant, what the outfit, what's the significance of the lions, etc. And it was very, very interesting. And, people left that day feeling, wow, at least I learned something different. And, to our children, yes, we're in the technological age. You see certain influencers, you're on TikTok, Instagram, and all that. But don't be moved or deceived by what you see on social media. You need to know first and foremost who you are. You need to entrench yourself in the history of your heritage so that you're in a position to also debunk any myths that may come across. We in the Igbo community, we have Igbo classes for all our children. So we, inculcate that. We've got storytelling classes. We've got a lot of things to keep that culture alive. The Asians, they do it very, very well. They do it very, very well. So no matter wherever they are, you see them that their culture is non-negotiable. And that's what we need to imbibe in our children. And also our children also need to embrace it. So kids, if you're watching this, if you've got any questions about where you're from, ask your parents. They'll be in a better position to communicate the truth to you than what you hear from outside. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, sir. Bunmi, last words.
My goodness, I've enjoyed every bit of this. I mean, those last words from Mr. Edward and Mr. Rotimi, it caps it all. What else do I have to say other than, honestly, I think those are strong words of advice from you both. To the kids, to the younger generation, it's just embrace who you are, embrace where you're from, and seek understanding, ask questions. Asking questions will help. Ask questions. And for non-Africans as well, who are also listening or watching, the truth of the matter is we want to create a world of kindness, where we all support one another, we all thrive as people, irrespective of race or wherever. But it all comes with a level of understanding. So when you understand the other person, you are able to interact better. you're able to appreciate, this person's race, that person's culture. And it all comes with understanding. You need to ask questions if you're not clear about it. So for even non-Africans as well, it will be very good if we get to that stage where we rub minds, we understand each other's cultures and race, and we can live, together, interact better. I think it's going to help generally, and probably also curb the issues of racism in our society, which has is seriously damaging for the younger ones as well. So I think that's my 2 cents advice honestly for the younger ones.
Thank you so much, Bunmi. Absolutely. It's been a wonderful, wonderful session. And thank you, all dear listeners. For me, I would say myths and misconceptions are like shadows. They disappear when you shine the light of knowledge on them. And so, yes, like everyone else has said, find out about things and, keep educating others. So let's keep challenging these fallacies. So challenge them with understanding, challenge them with kindness, because sometimes maybe that's what we miss out on. Be kind enough to sit them down and educate them. And I must say, so stay tuned for more episodes of the Afrikindness Podcast, where we celebrate Africa's cultural heritage and promote kindness. So remember, kindness is a language, and keep speaking it. Thank you so much, Mr. Edward. Thank you, Bunmi Owolabi. And of course, my friend, Rotimi Davids. Thank you so much. All right, until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and stay proud of Ilewa Africa. It's bye for now. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Afrikindness Podcast, where we celebrate African culture and tell our stories. We hope you've learned something new and gained a deeper appreciation for the continent. Join us next time for more conversation, more stories, and more kindness. And remember, our past, present, and future are interconnected, and it's up to us to shape the narrative and create a better world for our children. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and stay proud of your roots. Africa, Emagba.